Hey everybody, this is Brian Tarian from the Disability Digest, and welcome to our Wednesday YouTube live event today. We've got a great program in store for you. We have a guest with us today, Liz Graham. Thank you for joining us, Liz.
You're welcome. It's nice to be here. Thank you, Brian.
Yes, yes. And for those of you out there, if you're coming back and you've watched these shows before, thank you. If you're new, of course, we welcome you here at the Disability Digest. We do three things, a little bit more than that, but we focus on helping people get their disability benefits approved. And once you're approved, we help people understand what they can do to keep them, maximize them, and then we work to help people maybe return to work, housing, and other related issues. So keep, and maximize your benefits are what we focus on. So that's it. So of course, we hope that you enjoy the show. If you do, we encourage you to subscribe, ring that bell, and give it a share out there to others that may benefit from this information. So for today, this is a unique experience because I've got to say, Liz, I've kind of been stalking you to get you out here because you are a very unique, inspiring, have a unique, inspiring story where you're a disability recipient that has transitioned back into work.
Yeah.
And your work is, in my opinion, very influential in helping people understand how to deal with traumatic events. So thank you in advance.
Thank you. Sure.
And I will say this to those listening out here. We are both in Vermont, which we probably have 10 members in the state of Vermont. So this is unique. And I do have to give a shout out to Vermont because it has the fastest Social Security approval time in the entire US right now. So
wow,
go green.
There you go.
Yeah, but you wouldn't want to move here. It's not very nice here.
Not today.
No. Yeah. All right, so let's get into this. And of course, Jam is here, and there's some questions that have been put up in the room. If you'd be kind enough to answer those, that will help us out. And we're going to take some questions at the end that you may have that are relevant for Liz, or general interest questions. All right. Okay. So Liz, let's start with, you've been a disability recipient for a while, right?
Yes, since 2004.
2004. Okay. And that was a while ago. Is there anything that stood out about the approval process for you?
Unfortunately not. I really don't remember that part of getting my disability. I became very depressed and had a major depressive episode and just could not work. And I'm told that I did fill out all of the paperwork needed. I did everything I needed to do to get disability, although I don't remember doing it. So
right.
I did do it. I'm sure I had help. I know my doctor was involved. So.
Yeah. Well, some people want to forget about it. So for you, it was natural, right?
Yeah, it really, I just know that one day I was told that, oh, okay, that's awesome that I'm getting money so I can actually live and not worry about being homeless.
Yeah. No, that's the whole focus of the program. What was it you were doing before you were approved professionally?
I am a marriage and family therapist. I'm pre-licensed. I should be licensed by now, but it took 22 years or so to get back on track. And I was working in a drug and alcohol facility, mostly for people just out of prison, mandated people.
Okay. So somebody goes to prison, drug and alcohol dependency. That's your niche.
Yes. And where there is addiction, there's and I can safely say there's always some kind of underlying issue, mental illness issue.
If there's an addiction.
Yes.
Interesting.
So it's dual diagnosis.
Okay. Okay. Huh. Was that work here in Vermont?
I believe so. Yes, where I was working, I couldn't do mental health. It was strictly opiate dependent.
Okay.
And all I did was work with the addiction piece.
Yeah.
And it was very hard not to work with the other piece because it's so relevant.
Wow. Wow. That's pretty heavy work.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have any indication if that somehow had an influence on the challenges that you went through that forced you to stop working, the type of work that you were doing?
No, not at all.
Mm-hmm.
I worked, it took me, well, I'm a high school dropout. So when I was about 31, I decided I'm just going to go to school because, I got sober, and you lose all
Mm-hmm.
your, and I had literally nothing to do. So I said, well, I'm going to go to school then, and I'm going to see if I can be a therapist. So I did.
Wow. That's cool. All
Yeah,
right.
it was quite fun, quite a ride.
Yeah, yeah, this is getting good. Okay, so approved for disability, and at what point in time were you like, I want to start working on like getting back to work?
Well, actually, for me, the thought of not going back to work was never really, it was never really, like I didn't really think, oh, you'll never go back to work. But as the years went by, I mean, it took 22 years for me to recover, and
Mm-hmm.
to recover to the point where I felt it was ethical for me to work with people in the,
Mm-hmm.
and so it was only, I think, around 2015 when I started to feel like, I'm getting older, and maybe I missed the boat. I won't be able to even use my education and go to work and go back to work because it's too late for me. And that was really my only problem.
Mm-hmm.
My worry was it was too late.
Too late. Yeah. You know what
I wasted too much time. Oh, I don't know what just happened. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
There it is.
I'm impressed with your mindset that you always were focused. You had your eyes on the prize, right?
Yeah.
I feel that's critical for people because if they give up that, then, and that's important to them. I mean, I don't want to step out of bounds here and say that I'm a counselor, but I mean, I just think that if you have that goal and you're always moving toward it, maybe you take two steps forward one day and, three back the next, right? But you're moving.
For sure. It
Yeah.
is absolutely not linear. It's not a straight line. It is a lot of disappointment, a lot of wanting to give up, a lot of like, really, do I have to go through this again? There was a lot of obstacles for sure.
Mhm.
And on top of being depressed.
Yeah. Yeah. So we chatted a little bit about this before the show started. I mean, your situation is unique, as most are, but I think one common denominator is that we are learning is if they have that mindset to just continue to move forward. Is there any, is this something that you had a process on a daily basis, like, be it journaling or things that you did that were always moving you closer to the goal?
Well, I think when I think that when I decided I absolutely have to try, and I'm going to say that that was probably somewhere around 2016.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And, at that time I was doing odd jobs like dog walking and dog sitting.
Yeah.
For me, I knew that I needed to find a good therapist that knew a lot about post-trauma
Mm-hmm.
and could help me to learn how to keep my feelings in check when I got triggered, and to really kind of step by step, literally. I don't want to, it may sound weird, but it's like sometimes when you're a trauma survivor, you get stuck in the age emotionally where you were at your biggest trauma point. And I knew I needed help to kind of grow up. I needed to, accomplish some things emotionally and, you know, uh, basically emotionally, in order to get my head back into the game.
Interesting. I've heard a similar statement like that about being stuck in an age for addicts. Maybe you know this because you've dealt with them, right? Is that true?
Yes, and I'm also an addict. So,
Okay. Okay.
yeah, I believe it is true, because what happens is your brain, our brains don't stop developing until our early 20s.
Mm-hmm.
So start doing drugs at 14 or 15 years old, that screws with your brain chemistry.
Sure.
And it doesn't work right as it should.
Right. And that's when, there is the exposure to that, unfortunately, in our society. A whole other topic. I just,
Yeah.
All right. So step-by-step process, you're on your way. And you said you tried in 2016. Was that right?
Well, I believe that's when I made the decision that I needed to actually start making a plan.
Okay.
I think that making a plan was part of why I was successful in getting back to work.
All right. There any key parts of your plan that you think would be effective for others?
Well, I know for me, like I said, finding somebody to work with
Yep.
is essential.
Yep.
Also had two very prominent friends who were supportive.
Okay.
That was essential. Just somebody who really believes in you, and when you just feel like forget it, it's too hard. It's never going to happen. I'm 50 now. I'm 59, and I just went back to work this year when I turned 59.
Yes.
And I just thought, just people to try and help you, say, look, you just take it if you have to take it 1 minute at a time, that's what you have to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So a good counselor, therapist, and that could even be, or could it even be, like at Voc Rehab, they have benefit planners. Could it be somebody that falls into that category?
Absolutely.
Yep.
And especially if somebody knows, about the workforce and what you need,
Yeah.
get back, like my resume, for example, I could never have written myself.
Mm-hmm.
I had help with that. I
Right.
didn't do that on my own.
Okay. And then the second piece was I call them your 3:00 in the morning friends, right?
Exactly.
That'll actually answer the phone if you need them. I feel everybody needs to have their 3 a.m. crew. So that group right there, that
Yeah.
will help you and Yeah. Is there an accountability component to that where you're saying, okay, this is what I want to do, and you're asking for their support? Did you do that, or?
You mean accountability?
Okay, let me be
As
more
far,
specific, saying, okay, listen, my end goal here is I want to get back to work. I'm sharing this with you because these are some of the steps that I'm going to do.
Mhm.
Right. And we're good friends, and whether you ask them to hold you accountable or not is what my question is.
Oh, hold them accountable.
No, vice versa. They hold you
Oh,
accountable for doing the action steps, right? So,
absolutely.
yeah.
In fact, I'm not talking like I had a group of people. I had two people.
Yep.
One of those was kind of in and out during the time I really started to do the hard work,
Mm-hmm.
emotionally. But my husband was always just right there,
Cool.
always, no matter what.
Yep. Yep. That's great. Any other components to this, or those really the key drivers?
I think if you can put together a few people that are willing to invest their time, and like you said, and you have to also be accountable. You can't just say, well, I wish this would happen, or I wish somebody would, email me with the job. You actually, well, I'm probably getting ahead of myself, because before that, like I said, I had a lot of emotional work to do, and that took time. That took several years.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're talking about, when I say take your time, I really mean it. I like 22. It took me 22 years to fully recover from my disability.
Well, beautiful. You're there now.
Yeah.
You look at like your situation, or like, at my age, I've friend group, stay-at-home moms. They've gone through the cycle of kids. They've been out of work for, 15, 18 years, similar thing. So my question becomes, like, what obstacles did you face? Like, you have a resume, but there's been a big blank, like a few years of inactivity. Like, did that, what,
Yeah.
what happened with that? How was that addressed?
Yeah. That was absolutely an issue. And I had to explain that.
Yeah.
And I had to explain it in a way that was professional and not give away all sorts of intimate details.
Right.
And I, there are people. First of all, I think that there are a lot of jobs out there right now. People are desperate for workers.
Yeah.
And
I remember that.
I think that, I mean, there was my agency, my clinic, my supervisor, she gave me a chance. She said, she said she could tell that even though I had a lapse and everything had turned to electronic while I was in my, illness, she thought, I know you can do it. So, and if it wasn't, and that, she wasn't the only one. She was just the one I thought, wow, this woman I like her. I really want to learn from.
Cool. Well, that's great. Do you have any apprehensions about this Social Security system, and your benefits, keeping your benefits, and the risk kind of reward factor of going back to work? What was on your mind about that?
You mean being terrified that I might not be able to continue working and lose everything?
And lose your benefits. Yeah. I'm sure everybody out there that's approved, that's thinking about this, that's on their mind, man. Yeah.
Certainly, that absolutely was a factor.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I remember deciding that I was just going to be myself, warts and all, and of course be professional, But I just decided that, there are, I guess I'm getting lost in my thoughts. So can you ask the question again? I'm sorry.
So the question, Liz, is, the apprehension that you had, if
Yes.
any, which it sounds like you did, about, okay, I want to go work, but I have my check, and you get both while you're starting the process. You still get your check,
Right.
you double dip, which is beautiful.
Yeah.
But so that's my question. Like, what were some of the concerns that you've had? Have you had any problems? How has it gone? That's where I'm going with this.
Well, for me, I wanted to be absolutely sure in myself that I really felt rock steady on my feet.
Mm-hmm.
I was out of my depression. I was consistent. I felt consistent emotionally, even though I had bad days, certainly, but it wasn't like being in a deep depression. Wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was the thing I needed to be sure of. And I trusted my therapist, and she was very helpful in saying, I think that you're absolutely ready to give it a try. And I love what I do. I mean, I never thought I'd go to school, but I did, and I put myself through school. And I guess that's one of the things. I had my degree before I got sick.
Okay.
But I really worked hard for that degree, and I really, I just like the idea of helping people understand that you don't be where you come from, I think is my biggest,
Mm-hmm.
That's a big thing for me. You can come from the worst place in the world and you can still do well for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said. I mean, I look at the whole brain health type thing as, yeah, I don't know how somebody can go through life. This is my perspective, which is not always correct, mind you, but it's mine. How they can go through life and not have some type of challenge, right? Of course, the degree of severity is going to be different. And one of the messages that you had is, get a counselor or do that. And there's people that we talk to that, they likely do, but they don't pursue it because maybe it's an identity thing or they don't want to be stereotyped. But I mean, even me from a professional perspective, I rely on coaches, counselors, therapists. I'll take all the help I can get because
Absolutely.
Yeah. So if you're listening out there and you're still not quite there yet, give it a try, right? I don't know. That's my
but there's also the fear of going out of your comfort zone. So that's also a factor.
Right.
And for years while I was working, I was doing a very specific therapy for my circumstance. And I was terrified that, and there were times where I was positive that I would never be able to get back to who I was.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually never did. I'm, of course, completely different. And I think for the better. But yes, I spent, I think I spent about 2 solid years thinking, are you crazy? What do you think you're doing? You're set, you're barely making it, but, and I just said, I have to go for it. I just have to.
Nice.